Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation of how to get it just right. You know, a lot of times people think the ones we need to listen to and learn from and be empowered by are executives who've reached the pinnacle of their career or somebody who's made millions of dollars. But what about everyday people who have found ways to transform their lives and make meaning for themselves, and in the process bring purpose and meaning to others? Those are the stories, the everyday heroes we need to aspire to be. Because we can't all be CEOs, we can't all be millionaires, and maybe we don't all want to be, right? So what do you want to be? Who do you want to become as a human? And how do you make sure that whatever you want to do doesn't alter who you are as a being, so that you get to be authentic, you get to be real for you? That is an important part of the conversation we're going to have today. And to join me in this mission critical, time sensitive, humane conversation, to be kind and gentle and hold space for ourselves first, is Tahi Spikes, all the way from the other side of the world, waking up early in the morning to join us. Tahi, welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here. It's a real pleasure to be invited into your space. You're creating some amazing things and doing some magic over there, and it's a real honor to be here and share this time and space with you.
My pleasure, Tahi. Why don't you take us through your journey of what got you to a place where you realized you're stuck, but you can get unstuck? And once you figured that out, your life was good, right? But sometimes things happen and circumstances get us stuck. How did you go from everything was working great to, oh Lord, I'm stuck, to, gosh, I'm unstuck? And I figured it out, and there were people to help me figure it out.
Yeah, thank you. That's a beautiful question, and I really love telling my story to inspire others. And like you said, my life wasn't bad. I had 3 beautiful children. I had another baby on the way with a new partner, and things were looking good. I just hit 7 figures in my startup business after 4 years, and from the outside looking in, everyone thought I had it all. I had it all together, and I felt very alone, even though I was surrounded by many people. And because of that, I needed some support. So the catalyst for this, though, was 3 weeks prior to the first COVID lockdown. Me and my partner were no longer together. We lost a baby, 27 weeks of pregnancy. And so that was hard enough. And then going into COVID lockdown 3 weeks later, trying to support my family with the grief, trying to support, I think we had 14 staff at the time, all of their families. There was about 50 people that were relying on me to still have an income through COVID. And I was expected to have answers that none of us had. And so, like I said, I was surrounded by many people, but very alone in a space where I was trying to hold everyone else up. And as a man, we do the man thing, and I can do this. We put on a brave face and we keep pushing through and try and look like we've got it all together, and we don't talk to people. And luckily for me, during COVID, and I say luckily, and it might sound really bad me saying luckily, but I think I was very lucky that during COVID I got to pretty much a breaking point where I didn't know a way out. I didn't know how to get through this lockdown, how we were going to come out of it as a business. And I was able to build up the courage to reach out to someone who was able to help me, that knew the steps that I needed to take. And I was very fortunate to be offered the opportunity to go on this journey with these amazing people that were able to show me the journey. And I say to people that losing baby was the worst yet the best thing that ever happened to me. And because of her brief existence on this planet, she gave me my life back, and she's affected the lives of all the clients I've been able to work with since, through the work that was led in, that I was led into through her grief, her loss. And so I keep her alive every day by doing this work. She's always alive in my heart, and she's always close, and she's always impacting the world. So when you see that a child that never actually took a breath in this world can have such a massive impact, it's a responsibility to us that are still able to take those breaths and are still able to help others. It's our responsibility to do that. And so I was able to free myself from the 80 to 90 hours a week that I was doing and the guilt that I was feeling, because even though I had 3 kids, I realized I wasn't really appreciating them as well. You know, how could I grieve the loss of a child if I'm not really present with the children that I have still alive? And so the guilt I was carrying because of that, I was able to release that. I was able to go from 80 to 90-hour weeks down to less than 10 hours a week, while increasing the profitability of my business through gaining trust. And a lot of people think it's about gaining trust in others, and how do you trust other people, your staff, um, your support networks around you. Well, for me, it was about gaining trust in myself. Once I realized it was myself I wasn't trusting, and that's why I wasn't trusting others, that's why I was holding on to the control so tightly, I was able to release that a bit, find out that, man, other people have so much to offer when you allow them to offer. And so I was able to reduce those hours down to less than 10. And over the next 2 to 3 years, I was able to take that business to full autonomy, where it's allowed me the space to help others and guide others on that journey that I've been able to take to freedom within myself and within my family
That
unit.
that makes my heart smile, Taki, when I hear you say that, because ultimately, a life gave you the hope and gave you the purpose. And for that brief moment, the baby inspired you and inspired you to perpetuate it. And she's transformed you, and through you, she continues to live. And that is very, very powerful, especially coming from a father, because the mother carries the baby, right? So the mother is already bonded. But for the father to feel that and say that and live that, that is very moving. So, one of the things that might help other people as they listen to your story and the power of what helped you transition, what gave you the courage to reach out for help? Because men have a hard time asking for help. Men in our society are raised not to even think that they need help. Asking for directions, asking for help, asking for support, saying I'm lost goes to the heart of one needing to question their own manhood, which is not the right thing. To me, a man who knows that they need help and is comfortable asking for help is an empowered man. The same way a woman who has goals and who has the courage to pursue her goals is an empowered woman, right? So both need empowerment in different areas. What gave you the courage to say, I need help?
I was very, very fortunate that the partner I had at the time was very supportive and helped me move into that space and encouraged me. And uh, even though things didn't work out for me, for us as a couple, I'm still glad that that happened, because she was able to, push me into this work. And even though it was turned into quite a toxic relationship from that loss, we were both grieving in our own ways and growing and healing in our own ways. So the connection was lost within that. But that was also a beautiful thing because it triggered me a lot to go deeper and do more work and to grow. And it was a decision that I had to make. I'd recently had a friend, probably maybe a year before that, who I was looking at in the same light. He looked like he had it all together. He had just bought into his new business and had given up his day job, and had the wife, the kids, the house at the beach. And I remember looking at him with envy as to how great his journey had been and where he'd been able to get himself. And 2 weeks later, I was sleeping on his couch beside his coffin, and he'd taken his life. And that was a real eye-opener for me as well. So knowing that, seeing myself heading that way, as well as a couple of other friends who had businesses that were overworking, that had health issues starting to present because of that, and seeing where they were heading, I decided it needed to be different. I didn't want to be stuck there until it got that bad that I had to make a decision to, leave, or I ended up with health issues, and I couldn't do that to my children. I couldn't do that to my family. So it's a brave thing as a man to do, to say you're not okay. And that's what I love about the space I've created, where men are feeling comfortable, and I'm getting more and more men that are coming to me to work with me through that. As well, I have a very balanced clientele of men and women. It's balancing up more and more. It was obviously, to start with, our women are better at opening up, and just having that courage, talking to finding someone that resonates with you, that understands you, I think is the biggest thing. And the first person I reached out to, I was very lucky that she understood me, and she sent me a video message back that spoke directly to me, and I heard someone for the first time. It felt understood me, could see where I was at, could see where my barriers were that were keeping me there. And so feeling that person that resonated with me, that heard me, that understood me, encouraged me. It helped me feel safe to move forward. So the biggest thing I'd say, the biggest message I could possibly give, is find someone who you resonate with, that feels like they can support you and understand you and have walked the path that you're wanting to walk. There's so many offerings out there now. From a trained perspective, they've got a certificate in something that says they're an expert in that field. But if you don't resonate with you, if you haven't walked that path, they won't understand it. It'd be like me trying to coach women through menopause. It wouldn't work because I don't understand it, or through childbirth and trying to tell you how birth feels. I wouldn't understand that. So it's finding that person you resonate with that can really understand and feel you.
That is such a poignant way to look at it. And so tell us, share with us, what does a day in Tahi's life looks like today?
The days are very varied, and I love that about my life. It depends on where my clients are coming in from. I can be up at 4 a.m. to get on a call with someone in the US, or I could be on a call at 9 p.m. with someone in the UK. It just depends on where they're coming in from. So I like to keep things very flexible. The only two things I don't waver on is school drop-off. I make sure I do that every day, and school pickup. So those are two times I don't vary on. And sometimes it's a little bit later or earlier, but we work around that, as well as school sports events, my son's sporting events, and making sure I'm there for those, because I've redefined my success from a financial perspective into those school pickups and drop-offs, the conversations I have, even though it's only a 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive, the conversations I have with him to start and finish his day are very important. And then
absolutely
being present at those sports games, that's where my success lies.
That's true, because you are passing on something more precious to your sons with those interactions, right? Your children are going to remember the time they spent with you. What advice do you have for fathers? Because a lot of times fathers are under pressure to provide. I know the world is changing and women are also becoming providers, but women haven't lost the art of being able to balance it. Whereas fathers traditionally haven't had to balance it. But COVID has reminded dads that they need to step into the family, right? So, what advice do you have for family men, fathers?
Yeah, I guess I'd hit on week one of my program, which is taking back your power to choose and remembering that you have a choice. And if you're choosing not to spend that time with your family, to not create that space for your family to be a part of that life, you're actually choosing to not have them in your life and not value them. And seeing that for me was very harsh and a very harsh reminder that, man, I'm actually choosing to not be present with my children, to not make that time. And we feel in this society that we don't have a choice. And that's simply not true. We do have a choice. There is endless possibilities in this world now with the connection of internet, where we can actually work around it. I understand that some people are in roles where they can't work around that, but it's checking whether you can. Having a good look. Am I deciding not to? Can I actually make this change? Can I actually create a career where this is possible? For me, as an electrician, I remember having an argument with my previous partner that I have to be at work at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning. No one else can do what I do. No one else knows what I know. No one else can run my company. Things will go wrong. I live in a different city now, a 2-hour plane flight away from that business, and it runs probably better than when I was there, to be perfectly honest. So it was a belief I was carrying. So digging into our limiting beliefs, and I had my success defined as my dad's success, as my granddad's success, which was how hard you worked, how many hours you worked was what defined your success. So trying to prove myself to my dad and my granddad, who are very prominent people in my life, through working hard and staying at work till 2 a.m, getting up again at 4 and going again, that was what was fueling me, what was driving me. And being able to dig under that and realize that that fear of failing my father came from growing up on a farm where any animal that wasn't producing, wasn't providing, got put on a truck and got sent off to the works. I was actually still carrying this fear that I was going to die if I didn't prove myself to my dad, which was totally not true. But I was carrying that, and that's what was actually fueling it. So the power comes in finding what's underneath it, finding our limiting beliefs, finding our stories that we created as a child through our experiences and our events, and having the tools to heal that, to move that, and to move forward with freedom
That is such
so
an
powerful, and
interesting.
it's so worth it.
That's such an interesting perspective. You just put it out there. Growing up in the farm, it was working hard because you have to work the whole season to get the benefit, fruit of your labor, so to speak. And any animal that was not working was being taken away to be butchered, right? So psychologically, without even consciously thinking about it, your mind is wired not to want to be like that. And I hear in the US, people say, I'm ready for the glue factory. Just as you were talking, it dawned on me. That's where that phrase comes from. If the animal can't do what the animal is supposed to do, it's ready for the glue factory. And so the usefulness of a person was tied to the ability to do hard work. And that is such a precious insight that you have. How are you passing it on to others and helping them see their subconscious, unconscious relationship to something that is no longer relevant?
Yeah, so I've learned and continue to develop tools that help you dive into get back to feeling. A lot of us have shut off our feelings, especially men, but a lot of women too have hardened, so to speak, to their feelings, to their environment. And so tapping back into those feelings, what are my feelings trying to tell me? And giving those feelings a voice can be so powerful, and uncovering that voice and going, is this actually the truth or is it a lie? And because greater than 95% of our mind is subconscious, when we only try to use the 5% of our mind, it takes so much effort to push against that subconscious if it's not aligned to what we actually want. Like if I say, I'm going to do that job and I'm going to make $1 million, and you've got a part 95% of your brain saying, we're just workers. You're not an entrepreneur. We're the people that do the hard work to make other people rich, from the way you're brought up, and you don't even know it's happening. You're pushing, you're forcing, and you're creating so much stress within yourself, because parts of yourself are not. It's like they're separated. So coming back together within yourself and aligning those negative belief systems with, and taking that monkey off your back, I like to say, and making it into your cheerleading chimpanzee, where he's supporting you, where everything's aligned. And also a lot of people are too scared to create a goal, or they set goals that are safe, and they don't talk to anyone about them because they don't want it to be real, because if it's real they can fail. But realizing, by not setting that goal, by not actually going for something, you don't know what's actually aligned to your direction. So that's why it's hard, because you don't actually know which path you're taking, because you don't have a clear vision to know what's in alignment with that vision. And if you're not setting that goal, if you don't have that vision, you're already failing anyway. So don't be afraid of failing by setting it, because you're not achieving it by not setting it. So that would be my greatest advice. Get clear on your vision, and then you'll know the roadblocks. You'll see those limiting beliefs start to come up as you move towards it, and acquire the tools that you need to remove those roadblocks to keep you moving forward.
That's brilliant, Tahi. Ultimately, without a vision, it's like you're driving in circles, because you don't
Yeah.
have a destination, you don't have a purpose, you don't know where you're going. So that is such a mission critical first step. How can individuals reach out to you and get a hold of you if they want to talk to you, want to engage your services? What is the best way for individuals to reach you?
Yeah, so the best way is to reach out to me. Tahi Spinks on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on all of those just under my name. Send me a message, and I'm always happy to chat to people and to see if and how I could possibly help people, or send them to the person that can. I have an amazing network of people who are specialized in their own fields. So I like to stick to my lane and helping empower people to overcome stress and anxiety, create better work-life balance. And recently I've had a lot of people coming in wanting to increase their side hustle, so to speak, to make that their job, so that they can leave their 9 to 5. And I've actually left my website. I haven't done anything to that for quite some time, because I'm realizing now that we're in this day and age of AI and technology, and the trust in the internet and the automation is creating this distrust of people. So I like the personal connection. I like to have a couple of messages, jump on a quick 15-minute, no obligation call, and see if we're a fit to work together, or see how I can help send you in the right direction. The personal connection is everything to me, and the isolation in the world is, I see, causing such a big problem in our world. We don't live in communities anymore. We separate from our families, and that connection's lost. So a lot of my work is also around creating connection. We have our own community, people that have only done our program or are doing our program, to create that connection to like-minded people to accelerate forward, as I'm sure you do have with your work too.
Absolutely. And what you just said right there, that is reality. Technology and progress, economic progress, has broken apart the fabric of community, the fabric of the support system, the fabric of belonging. And success has been defined as money, and people with money are so alone. Mental health, holistic wellness, everything is compromised. And COVID has been a blessing in some way because it has taught us to take a step back and look at what truly matters. When we chase money and something like COVID happens, you've no place to chase anything. You have to come back to basics and realize, oh my God, do I have a home? Do I have a family? Do I have that which sustains me, that understands and nurtures me? And your message today has been so very powerful for our audience. And I cannot thank you enough for investing this time in having this conversation. And I would dearly love to continue to have our conversations offline because I love what you are doing. I love the impact you're making. And I love the humility with which you show up and do this, because we are each and everyday person. And when we come from that humble, honest, authentic place, we're going to be able to help more people. And to me, the way you show up is even more powerful of a message. And for that, thank you so very much, Tahi.
And thank you. And the honor is all mine to be welcomed into your community, into your platform. And like you say, if I dress a certain way, to look a certain way just because I'm going to be on a camera, how can I tell my kids they don't need to look like someone on Instagram to be happy inside? If I change who I am just to be accepted into with me as a person, and it wouldn't really convey the message I'm trying to make very well.
What a wonderful closing message. Be authentic, be true to who you are. And in the process of being and becoming you, find your purpose, find your calling, and build a community and serve that community. Everything else will fall into place. And the energy you're putting out is going to attract the right elements, and growth and prosperity in a deeply meaningful way, in a sustainable way, will come towards you because you're not chasing anything.